Hello and welcome back to our channel. When you hear the name Catherine of Aragon, what comes to mind? For many, it's the image of a tragic queen cast aside by King Henry VIII for a younger woman, Anne Boleyn. She's often seen as the first of six, a footnote in a story that isn't her own. But what if I told you that this popular image barely scratches the surface? What if the real Catherine was a formidable political force, a beloved queen, and a woman of unshakable principle who nearly brought the Tudor dynasty to its knees? Today, we're re-pulling back the curtain of history to uncover the epic saga of the Spanish princess who defied a king and left an indelible mark on England. This isn't just a story of love and betrayal. It's a tale of incredible resilience, faith, and power. So, let's get started. Catherine's story begins not in the cold, damp castles of England, but under the warm sun of Spain. Born in 1485. She was the youngest surviving child of the most powerful monarchs in Europe, Isabella I of Castile and Ferdinand II of Aragon. These were the rulers who completed the Reconquista, funded Christopher Columbus's voyage, and forged the nation of Spain. Catherine was raised in a court that was a crucible of power, faith, and intellectual rigor. She was taught statecraft alongside Latin, philosophy, and theology. From her earliest days, she was not just groomed to be a wife, but to be a queen. Her destiny was sealed at the tender age of 3 when she was betrothed to Arthur, Prince of Wales, the heir to the English throne. This marriage was more than a union of two people. It was a political alliance of monumental importance, designed to secure the fledgling Tudor dynasty by linking it with the established might of Spain. In 1501, a teenage Catherine arrived in England, a foreign princess in a strange land, ready to fulfill her destiny. Her marriage to Prince Arthur was celebrated with immense pomp and ceremony. The future of the Tudor line seemed secure, but just 5 months later, tragedy struck. Arthur died, leaving Catherine a widow at just 16. Her status was suddenly thrown into uncertainty. Was she to be sent back to Spain in disgrace? Her formidable parents, and Catherine herself, would not allow it. A new plan was hatched. She would be betrothed to Arthur's younger brother, the new heir, Prince Henry. However, there was a significant obstacle. Church law forbade a man from marrying his brother's widow. For this new marriage to happen, a special papal dispensation was required, based on Catherine's solemn testimony that her first marriage to Arthur had never been consummated. The Pope granted the dispensation, and Catherine's future in England was once again secured. Though this very technicality would come back to haunt her in the most dramatic way imaginable. She spent the next 7 years in a kind of political limbo, waiting for the young Henry to come of age. In 1509, King Henry VII died, and his charismatic 18-year-old son ascended the throne as King Henry VIII. One of his very first acts as king was to marry the 23-year-old Catherine of Aragon. By all accounts, the early years of their marriage were happy. Henry deeply respected Catherine's intellect and piety, and he adored his beautiful, regal wife. They were a true power couple. Catherine was not a passive queen consort. When Henry went to war in France in 1513, he didn't just leave her behind. He appointed her as his regent and governor of England, and she proved more than capable. While Henry was away, Scotland invaded from the north, seeking to take advantage of the king's absence. Catherine rose to the occasion magnificently. She organized the English defenses, rallied the troops, and even rode north in partial armor to address the soldiers. The English army achieved a stunning victory at the Battle of Flodden, where the Scottish king James IV was killed. Catherine sent the fallen king's bloody coat to Henry in France as a trophy of her victory. She had proven herself not just a queen, but a capable ruler and military strategist. For over 2 decades, Catherine was a popular and respected queen. She was a patron of education and a deeply devout woman who was beloved by the English people. But one shadow loomed over their marriage: the lack of a male heir. Catherine endured multiple heartbreaking pregnancies, suffering stillbirths and neonatal deaths. Only one child survived to adulthood, a healthy, intelligent daughter named Mary, born in 1516. In an age where dynastic survival depended on a male heir, Henry grew increasingly desperate. He started to believe that his marriage was cursed by God. He looked back to that passage in the book of Leviticus that forbade marrying a brother's wife and became convinced that his union with Catherine was invalid in the eyes of God and that the Pope had been wrong to grant the dispensation all those years ago. His great matter, as it became known, was further complicated by his passionate infatuation with the captivating Anne Boleyn, who refused to be his mistress and insisted on becoming his queen. This is where Catherine's true, unyielding character was forged in fire. Henry demanded she cooperate with an annulment. He offered her a comfortable, quiet retirement in a convent. He pressured her, threatened her, and isolated her. Any other woman might have buckled, but Catherine refused. For her, this was not just about her status or her pride. It was about 3 fundamental principles. First, the validity of her marriage. To accept an annulment would be to admit she had lived in sin for over 20 years and was never truly queen. Second, the legitimacy of her daughter Mary. An annulment would declare Mary illegitimate and remove her from the line of succession. And third, her unwavering faith. She believed her marriage had been sanctioned by the Pope, the representative of God on earth, and only the Pope could undo it. She stood firm, declaring to all who would listen that she was the king's one true wife and Queen of England. Her defiance was breathtaking. She directly challenged the absolute power of her husband, the king, in a deeply patriarchal society. She appealed directly to the Pope in Rome, skillfully using her own family connections. Her nephew was the Holy Roman Emperor, Charles V, to plead her case on the international stage. Catherine's refusal to yield had earth-shattering consequences. When the Pope, under pressure from Catherine's powerful nephew, refused to grant the annulment, Henry took a radical, unprecedented step. He broke with the Roman Catholic Church, the institution that had dominated European life for 1,000 years. He declared himself the supreme head of the Church of England, divorced Catherine through his own archbishop, and married a pregnant Anne Boleyn. This act, the English Reformation, was born directly from Catherine of Aragon's steadfast refusal to compromise her principles. Her personal battle had reshaped a nation's faith and future forever. Stripped of her title as Queen and referred to as the Dowager Princess of Wales, Catherine was forcibly separated from her daughter Mary and moved from one damp, decaying castle to another. Yet, even in isolation, she never wavered. She continued to sign her letters, Catherine, the Queen, a final defiant act of a woman who refused to be erased. She died in 1536, still professing her love for Henry and her unwavering belief in the validity of her marriage. Her last words were a testament to her enduring spirit. So, when we remember Catherine of Aragon, let's remember the whole story. She wasn't just a victim. She was a scholar, a diplomat, a regent, and a warrior queen. She was a woman of profound faith and unbreakable will who, in defending her own truth, inadvertently triggered one of the most significant events in English history. Her legacy lives on, not just in the church she unintentionally helped create, but in the example she set as a woman who stood up to a tyrannical king and refused to be silenced. She truly was the unyielding queen who shook the Tudor throne to its very foundations. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. What part of Catherine's story do you find most inspiring? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into history's most fascinating figures. We'll see you in the next one.